On Sunday, Papa sent the carriage, and Jane and Elizabeth returned home. Mamma, I fear, was not very cordial to them.
I cannot for the life of me, Elizabeth, see why you can't rush Jane home.
She wasn't rushed, Mamma.
Well, I, for one, am gratified, for this evening conversation has lost much of its animation and almost all of its sense.
Mrs. Bennet, oh!
My dear, I hope you've ordered for a good dinner tonight, for I have reasons to suspect an addition to our family party.
Is it Mr. Bingley? Jane, you've never done a word of this, you sly thing!
No, it's not Mr. Bingley. It is my cousin, Mr. Collins.
Oh.
For which, when I am dead, may turn you all out of this house as soon as he pleases.
But why, Papa?
It is the entail, the entail of which I often remind you of. So you see, the inheritance of my land is limited to male heirs, and I, having produced none, Mr. Collins is a legal recipient.
Pray do not talk of that odious man and this odious legality. It is monstrous that your estate should be entailed away from your own children.
Mr. Collins was punctual to his time.
Ah, Mr. Bennet, Mr. Bennet. As a pastor of the Church of England, I flatter myself that my present overtures of goodwill are highly commendable, and of my being the next in entail of the Longford estate will be kindly overlooked on your part, and not lead you to reject my proffered olive branch. As for your daughters, I have heard much of their beauty, but, for instance, fame has fallen short of the truth, and I doubt not seeing them, as I might say, well disposed of and married.
You are very kind, sir. I hope with all my heart it may prove to be so, or else they will be destitute enough.
I am very sensible, madame, of the hardship of my fair cousins. I can assure them that I have come here to admire them. At the present I will not say any more, but perhaps when we are further acquainted. Thus, in conclusion, as having a good house and a good living as a clergyman, I intend to marry, and in reconciliation with your family, I propose to choose one of your daughters. Surely you can agree that this atonement is an excellent one, both generous and disinterested on my part.
Indeed.
I very much approve of your eldest.
Jane.
Indeed. I find her both fetching and decorous. She should do quite nicely, and seniority must be served.
Jane. Sir, as to my younger daughters, I cannot take it upon myself to say, but I know of no predispositions. Now, concerning my eldest.
Jane?
Jane.
Jane.
I feel incumbent to say she is very likely soon engaged.
I see. And the next in age?
Elizabeth?
Elizabeth, yes. Very forthright and not at all unpresentable.
Done.
To escape Mr. Collins' lectures,
On the high quality and moral fitness of the pastor of the Church of England,
Papa suggested a stroll to Meryton.
for I suppose him better fitted for a walker than a talker.
And one must learn that the highest laws of a governess, of the Christian duty,
And no sooner had I arrived at the regimental trumpetry that 3 ensigns bowed all at once.
must be learned from within, not from without.
And all 3 of them asked me to walk out with them.
And that no man can become a serviceable servant solely by obedience to written edicts, though the principles elucidated.
La, said I but one young lady, as you can plainly be soon espied.
Oh,
Yoo-hoo!
a newly arrived officer of the regiment,
Yoo-hoo!
of most gentleman of appearance, was introduced to us
By an officer already of our acquaintance.
as Mr. Wickham. He had all the best parts of beauty,
A good countenance,
a good figure,
and a very pleasing address.
How do you do? This is a very lucky chance indeed. At the officers' table, the Bennets are much spoken of, and all of it approbation. Miss Catherine and Miss Lydia, are you not? Wrong way around.
quite topsy-turvy.
Profoundly sorry. I hope to be correct in addressing you as Miss Elizabeth Bennet.
Yes, quite correct.
I solicit your further acquaintance, Miss Bennet.
Our society, sir, is not extensive. I venture we will meet again.
We were talking of so very agreeably when the sound of horses drew our notice.
And Mr. Bingley and Mr. Darcy came riding by.
Mr. Darcy barely touched his hat, which Mr. Wickham barely deigned to return.
What could be the meaning of this?
Before venturing on, we naturally enjoyed Mr. Wickham to pay us a visit.
With very great pleasure indeed. I fear we poor souls in the army lack greatly in feminine instruction. Miss Elizabeth.
Mr. Wickham.
La, but our sister has made a conquest.